Hello and welcome everyone, Lionheart here with a preview of Total War Attila. I'm going to be having a look at some factions, their starting location, their diplomatic starting situation, and also be having a look at a couple of the new mechanics in Total War Attila, such as the Horde feature, of being able to move certain factions' armies, settle them down, and build up various buildings as if they were a city. I'll also be having a look at the way you interact with characters in Total War Attila and how important they can potentially be. I'll be having a look at 4 factions today: the Saxons, the Sassanid Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, and the Ostrogoths. These are the 4 factions that are actually playable in this preview that Creative Assembly sent to me to have a look at. There are other factions on the campaign menu, but they're not playable in this preview. Also, I should say this is a development in progress, so there'll be a watermark on this video at all times. It's not the final game, and there's a fair few bugs that Creative Assembly sent me through a list of, and optimizations and things like that are still being made at this time. So expect there to be a fair few improvements from what you see now to when the game comes out. So we're going to jump on in. I won't be showing any battles in this video. I'm sure some other Total War YouTubers will be covering some battle footage themselves. But if you want to see some battle footage from Total War Attila, have a look at my Siege of Londinium video. That's linked in the description. So, before we jump in, we're going to have a look at the various factions. I was thinking Saxons and saying factions at the same time. There we go. We're going to have a look at the various factions, the 4 that we can play as, and then we'll jump on in to the campaign map and see how they work. So the Saxons, who we're going to be starting off with first, are New Kingdoms and Saxon Shore as their cultural and faction trait. The Ostrogoths, the Great Migration, and Inheritors of Rome. You have the Eastern Roman Empire, Imperial Allegiance, Economic Powerhouse. And Eastern Empires, we have the Sassanid Empire, Grand School, and King of Kings. Obviously, those of you will also notice there's the Western Roman Empire to play in the full game, the Huns, the Alans, the Visigoth, and the Vandals, as well as the Franks. And obviously, if you pre-order, then you get the Viking Forefathers as well. But again, 4 factions available in this preview build for me to have a look at. So we're going to kick things off with the Saxons. Let's have a look at their objectives. So you can actually see there's several objectives you can kind of choose to go for. There's a minor victory ending in 1446. Military victory holding 60 settlements up from 30. And then divine triumph, which requires you to hold 100 settlements by 446 AD. We're starting at 395 AD. So you can see there's a lot to hold there, to acquire for that Divine Triumph. So that's going to be good for some Let's Plays, going for Divine Triumphs with various factions. But if you do want to do shorter Let's Plays, or if you just want shorter campaigns, if you're not interested in recording, that is just for the casual player, or the normal player rather, I should say. You have various different objectives you can go for. Focus primarily on the military side of things, although Divine Triumph requires you to have a pretty reasonable mix between military and cultural achievements there, constructing various buildings, various technologies. Obviously there's cultural victory as well, if that floats your boat too. Anyway, let's jump on in with the Saxons, and then we'll be going over to the Ostrogoths, the Sassanid Empire, before wrapping things up with the Eastern Roman Empire. Enjoy.
The south is in turmoil, distracted by petty conflict and the westward migration of the Huns. Therefore, you should look elsewhere for opportunities. Rome has all but lost its grip on Britannia, ever threatened by Celtic aggression, so you should have no trouble establishing a presence there. A long cold creeping from the north is also driving its men into action. They are formidable warriors, and could pose a great threat should they raid or attempt to conquer the mainland. Better, perhaps, to take the fight to them instead. Fight, win, and prevail, so the Saxons can carve their place in the annals of history.
So, there we go. introduction to the Saxons there. They made ready for war objective. Cool. So we've got to survive until 401. So 40 turns. So in fact, those victory objectives were correct. Then they should be the full ones. That is our objective: survive until then. But yeah, the other victory objectives would take you to 446, which is cool. Like that. Obviously, we've got the various seasons at the top. So obviously, the UI has changed. It's moved kind of from, well, the minimap used to be up here, and used to have these messages on top for your treasury and everything else over here. So it's just moved it around a little bit. I actually quite like it being at the top. I think that's good. So let's have a look at the Saxons. So there's kind of as we have the kind of area shown around the settlement where it can, where the garrison will be able to attack from in a burning ring of fire. I quite like that. That's cool. There's many burning animations in Attila, which I think sort of suggests the theme we've got going on here. So something different already on the armies that you've got. You got like a laurel wreath to show how full the army is with its units. We can see the units along the bottom. We have the unit count along the top. Got 13 out of 20 here. Also get that unit there. We can have a look at the faction tab. And so obviously this is the family tree, which you will have seen if you watched Creative Assembly's own video looking at this. They went into it into far more detail than I will go into now. But basically you can drag, or rather you can select other nobles or your own family tree to be companions, and they can go up the ladder here of the offices, which is quite cool. You've got lots of different options for each character now. Arranging marriages, embezzling funds. You can set your heir, seek a wife for your character. So this guy doesn't have a wife at the moment, so we could send him to seek a wife for this guy. Obviously, we have a faction leader up here. And in fact, when you... where is it? I don't think I've got the option to, but you can make... When you make these guys like governors of provinces and things like that, they will actually... we can do it here. You can see he changes into his kind of war army. He's got his helmet on, which is quite cool. I like the change there. Gone from like a statesman to a governor there, which I like. That's good. So, looking at the starting location for the Saxons, come up to the tactical map, and obviously you have far more different kind of features to toggle about in Attila that you can see. So you can see different maps of food and fertility, region growth, religion, sanitation, public order, region growth, attitude, diplomatic status, and faction ownership. So obviously a few there that we've seen before, but yeah, I quite like that. So zooming in, we get to see the resources on the map as well. So as you can see from this map, we also have a raiding party ready to attack Britain with the Saxons. So that is sort of the suggestion of what you might like to get up to. We'll have a look at the diplomacy first before we look at that further. We start off at war with the Western Roman Empire. And you have a non-aggression pact with military access with the Angles.
You honor us.
Plenty of options there to engage with in diplomacy. And you see something called a strength ranking as well. And you can see... You can toggle it here, strength ranking, see who is the strongest faction. So you'll kind of have a good idea if you're trying to work out who your next target is. If you don't have many enemies, you might want to say, like, if I go, I might like to take the Franks land. So that's strength ranking. So if I wanted to attack the Franks, we can see that they have a strength ranking of 6 and I have one of 14. So actually it may not be the best idea to go after them right now. Whereas the Danes, they have a strength ranking of 20, so it may be worth looking to go north or even up against the Varians over here with a strength ranking of 42. They're not that great, nor are the Alamans down south. So might be worth taking those out, consolidating our position before we look to potentially hit the Franks with war. But obviously our primary enemy is the Western Roman Empire, so that's where we start off there. You can obviously see your trade goods. I quite like this menu. It's got a few more little bits to it. You can see obviously trustworthiness and Imperium. You can see here how that will potentially affect you. Not too much of a change there. Let's go to trade and finance. Again, nothing, not too much going on differently here, which is good. But here you get an overview of your taxes and everything going on there. Technology, let's have a look at this before we then move that raiding fleet. Obviously, you have 2 tech trees, military and civic, with plenty of different arms coming off it. So let's grab this fleet. If I want to take them in force march or double time, we can bring them in over here.
Is there nothing else?
And we can actually bring them towards Londinium.
Cannot go there. We can't do that.
Obviously, we can't attack this turn to take Lindum because we're in force march, so we'll have to leave that a turn before we can strike. So we will quickly skip ahead where we've ended the turn and show what happens once we've taken that settlement over there, what the options are that we get. Let's have a quick look at the building trees. Again, you have lots of different buildings that you can choose from, lots of different upgrades. Undeveloped land opens up a new pool of various buildings that you can go through, all with their own building chains, and some with units that you can obviously build. So yeah, we've also got Abandon the Settlement, which will generate a short-term but high increase gain of funds. Here it will give us 4,750 income, but it will devastate the settlement. It will completely wreck the settlement and the area around it. We'll see something similar in a moment. Obviously, you still have the provincial edicts, but these are kind of a little bit more catered to the faction. Specifically, resettlement, warrior rights, judgment of Woden, or might of Twor. Or Twee. Don't I say that? Lion fail number 1. Or probably, actually not. Obviously, you've got agents that you can recruit here once you have the presence of a specific building chain. And again, obviously, to raise forces. You still need a general, as you did in Rome 2, but you can do that from here. You can see all their various statistics, any traits that they might have as well. You'll see how much it'll be to raise them as both an army and a navy. Anyway, let's go see what happens once we've skipped ahead a turn. So, back after an end turn there, and we've got the Lightning Riders here of the Saxon raiding force landed in Britain, and we're going to Lindum over here. Something I do like in Attila that you can do is you can actually see the garrison army by toggling the details there, so you can actually see all the units that they have. And you will also, if you've gathered intelligence on a settlement, you can also see the public order, the wealth, security, and what buildings it has.
Warriors, none will escape.
A very large army or fleet.
So if we go in here, I'm not going to show you guys this battle. It's just if you do want to see a battle in Total War Attila, probably check out some of the other preview build videos that will be uploaded by various other YouTubers, I'm sure, very shortly. Or check out my Siege of Londinium video, which I'll put in the description. But all I want to focus on is kind of the starting location for these factions in this video. So we're just going to auto-resolve this one. Again, you've got aggressive, balanced, and protective. You don't get the statistics here, but I don't know if that's kind of placeholder that they haven't finished that yet. It wasn't in this preview build. So I'm going to go aggressive here. You get this kind of little cinematic widescreen bit that suddenly forms up here. They kill each other.
Battle statistics are displayed
Battle
there,
statistics.
along with the options to occupy, loot.
So deployed 2,240 and lost 1,304. So with that, now we have various options. We have sack, we have liberate, we have loot and occupy. We have occupy, and we have raise. And it's raise that I'm going to show you today. But obviously each of these shows you what's going to happen when you do it. So obviously if we want to liberate, we'd actually bring forth the liberated faction of Britain. We'd have 5 public order and a morale penalty of -3. That's a morale penalty on the army. And their integrity, because obviously they probably wanted it themselves. If we sack it, provincial instability, something we're quite used to, but we also get some plunder from it. If we loot and occupy, we get plunder, we get provincial instability, and we get a conquest penalty of -20. Occupying, same sort of thing, and a morale penalty for the men in the army, because obviously they've had no plunder from this. Raising just gives us 1079, so a little bit of plunder, but has no morale penalties for the army or anything like that, because, as you will see, that happens. Essentially a napalm bomb occurs, and that settlement cannot be, you know, it can be attacked to be colonized, but that will cost a huge amount to actually recolonize. I don't know if that's going to be tweaked. I don't know if that's going to be tweaked before the game comes out. It might just be a bit higher in this preview. Build, I don't know if it needs balancing or what have you, but it does seem like a lot. But yeah, if you wanted to colonize, it's going to cost you 11k. So that's obviously something you want to do only when all else is lost, or if you really want to, I guess, go through and do some scorched earth tactics. Now you can, because probably a faction can't afford to rebuild that, as you've seen. I couldn't afford to rebuild that very quickly. My income, obviously up the top there, is not great. I mean, I've not spent any of my money, so my treasury is okay. But still, that would take me a long time to build that back up. Morale penalty for us staying here in this area is -3, because obviously it's devastated. The army doesn't like that. It's not very pretty to look at. But again, very useful tactic if you want to stop, perhaps, if you just want to raid enemy territory. You don't have the forces actually go in there and take them. You want to perhaps weaken a key economic hub. Just go in there, raise a couple of settlements, and then you can leave again. Perhaps that'll cripple them on one flank, so you can focus on another. So I quite like that feature. Anyway, that's where I'm going to wrap up this look at the Saxons, and we're going to jump into another faction. We'll have a look at the Ostrogoths next.
Formerly settled north of the Danube, your people are once again on the move, compelled to flee by the arrival of the Hunnic hordes. Your Gepid cousins have already been subjugated. Liberating them may help you reclaim the region, but the Huns are relentless, so it may be prudent to keep moving until you find a place to settle and rebuild your strength. The Eastern Roman Empire is rich and powerful, so migrating to the fertile, vulnerable western regions would be wise, plundering as you go to sustain your people. Settle, and you can rebuild what was lost, and more. A mighty and enlightened Ostrogothic kingdom to keep the darkness at bay.
So there we go. So obviously we have our army here. And here you've obviously got the action points and the integrity of the army, which I didn't look at, but I mentioned in the Saxon look earlier. So we do have a settlement. This capital has been desolate, so to rebuild that would cost a fair amount. So you have lots of various troops here to choose from. Again, military and civic technologies. You have your faction here, your family tree, various summaries, migration in progress. You're already migrating. Records and stats, but obviously with the records you have lots of different options that you can now break down event types into, which is pretty cool, and filters. So that's good. I like it. Chapter 1, event feed. You've also got stats as well. Plenty to keep you busy there. So you've got your dominion and your control. And you can also see here, descendancy line key, natural, adopted, or bastard. So, with these guys I want to show off the horde mechanic. So, going to encampment. Or rather, actually, no, it's not that one. Building view. While they're just standing still, actually. So, you've got shelters. Sheep pens. That's where they are. If we want to move them, off they go. We don't have enough funds for any of these, which kind of sucks. Oh, we can build something here, actually. Here we go. So let's go for Herder's Camp. So where they are, start building that. Instantly they set up. and you have the Tree Breakers as now their own little settlement, which is quite cool. So you can see the various buildings that they have with them once they've settled. And you've also got another construction site here, so we could have lavish tents, or we can get raiders gathering. Set that to build. Plenty to go through here. Same with these guys. So communal grounds. So that'll set them up there. Instantly popped up, and that's when they're in their encampment stance. So if we want to move, we just put them to normal stance, move them over here, and encamp again, and they form back into their little camp there. So quite useful if you want to jump into an enemy territory. Maybe you don't have the forces to take it, but you want to camp down, build up some new forces or something like that. Makes them quite interesting and versatile. And obviously you've got that with a lot of the factions in Total War Attila. So it's going to be interesting to see how you use them. So before we wrap up this this look at the Ostrogoths, we're just going to come to the tactical map there to see their position there. Probably be wanting to hit the Eastern Roman Empire, especially with those trait bonuses that we heard about earlier. But let's have a look at the diplomacy. See who they're at war with to start off with. They start off with a strength ranking of 10, so again, pretty reasonable. They are at war with several factions though. Lazica, Nobatia, Eastern Roman Empire, and the Huns. Coming down from the northeast there. Going to be hitting your lands pretty soon in Dacia. So you may want to move in and try and take out the Eastern Roman Empire, although they do have a strength ranking of 2, so you will probably find that quite difficult. But if you can build up your horde, and if you can, I guess, learn when to encamp, then that may well be very useful. We see we've got a couple of treaties going on here. You start off with military allies, Visigoths, and the Gepids. So, an interesting starting location for the Ostrogoths, and again, it'll be interesting to see the use of the horde mechanic there. Obviously, you can take settlements, but I guess it's going to know when to actually take a settlement. As with these guys, actually talking about the raise mechanic previously, these guys are going to be perfect for going in, raising a settlement, and then you can still set up camp to build more units if you need to. I assume you probably will need a couple of actual cities to build up as economic hubs, because with armies on the move all the time, they're not going to be encamped 100% of the time. So that wraps up my look at the Ostrogoths. I'm going to go have a look at the Sassanid Empire before finally wrapping things up with the Eastern Roman Empire.
Your dominion over the East is strong. Ardashia's great legacy is at last secure. Now, you must look to expand the empire westward. Rome is divided and surrounded by enemies. There may never be a better time to reassert the natural order of Persian rule throughout Asia Minor and the Levant. Support for the Eastern Roman Empire and its religion is strong, so a steady approach may be wiser than a brute offensive. Keep eyes on the north, for the inexorable Huns and their allies are on the move, thirsty for plunder and the blood of civilized men. Ultimately, you must bring just and wise rule to the world, laying the foundations of a Sassanid Empire that will last until the end of time.
There we go, the Sassanid Empire. So let's just jump up onto the tactical map there. Again, we can see a couple of resources. There's gold, marble, spices, dyes within the Empire. I quite like the campaign map for Attila. I really like the art style they've gone with. It looks really cool. And I like actually the fact that it's on a map on a table. That's cool. I like it. Let's have a look at the diplomacy straight away for these guys. So you can see our empire here. And you can see our puppet state there. So you've actually got a fair few puppet states. Armenia, Parthia, Makran, Abashshastar. I'm going to say these wrong. Anthropanthe, Arya, the Lachmids, the Mazun. So plenty around us. In that green area you can see all of our puppets. So we hold a fair bit of land if we include those puppets. To start with, we hold the east. So it's us looking west once we start this campaign. We're not at war with anyone when we first start off. And we also have military allies with the Aran and the Afrikids over here. So actually, I'm not seeing a lot of hate in the attitude at the moment going down here of the known factions. In the Eastern Roman Empire, not too against us, so that's okay. So this may well be like the Seleucid faction in Rome 2, where you start off with a fair few puppet states or satrapies, and then you kind of have to see which of them are actually going to stay with you after the first maybe 5 or 6 turns. How many will actually turn against you, or how many will actually side with you in your goal to kind of conquer the world. So quite like that, you've also got that trade going on with various factions. You can obviously apply to get trade. You can obviously arrange marriages as well. Let's offer my daughter. It's been rejected. No, because we didn't have anyone to offer her for. So, for trade, likelihood on... Oh, non-aggression. Pretty standard. I'm not going to go through those options because, again, that's not the point of this faction overview. It's just look at the starting location of each faction. Have a look at perhaps their armies a little bit as well. So you've got cataphracts there, Persian bows, and a sort of spear band there. Medium spear infantry. All your information for your units arranged there. You can see our family tree. I really should turn the advisor off. So you've got Supreme Commander as the office for the Sassanid Empire. With the Saxons, when we last looked at this, you had some different ones there as well, and you also had more, I believe, for the Saxons overall. So again, it's finding one that's qualified to be a Castellan. This guy here. So a large family to start with, so plenty of options to build up that family tree. View character details as well. On the character details, you can also look at skills that you can upgrade for your character. Kind of similar to how they were in Shogun 2. And you've also got household items you can equip to upgrade there. You've got traits as well, and authority, cunning, and zeal. Very reminiscent of the original Rome Total War and Medieval 2 as well, with those traits. So you can see his wife and the traits that she has. She's the drunkard. Oh dear. You can see those there as well. So plenty to have a look at there. These guys are not a horde faction, so they don't get that encampment option, but they do obviously get defensive stance, raiding, ambush, and forced march that we're used to seeing. Obviously, got the walls here for the settlement, for the province capital. Again, you have provincial edicts, again tailored to the faction or the culture that you're likely to see. Plenty of various buildings to look to upgrade through. Your technology. So you can see obviously providing garrison, and then again that garrison toggle to the right of each faction's settlement's name. You can change there. If you go to the building browser as well, you can see all the various buildings you can get from all the various sectors, which is quite cool. I'm just trying to remember where there is an option where you can actually rename your settlement, but I can't remember how you do this. It might be over here, details. Yes, it's here. So you can go in here and you can rename it, which is quite nice, especially if you like to roleplay. So Lionheart is an awful name for a settlement. Lionheart Land. That is now set. So there, my settlement is now Lionheart Land. So just like little touches like that. It's a little bit more customization again. There's obviously other bits you can do once you have your governor appointed. We can appoint a governor. We can appoint this guy. If we go over here, I don't actually know which. I know we don't. Oh, do we have anyone? Statesman. There we go. From over here. Put them all in.
Has your campaign
So with that, you can see his various traits, loyalties, and governor details. So again, kind of added depth to the way you interact with your characters on the campaign map, which does really promote this sense in it. And Attila, Creative Assembly certainly understand that the community and players want generals and statesmen characters in your family trees to be important again, and they've certainly done, I'd say, a lot to encourage you using them, being kind of careful with them, not trying to kill them off so easily as you might do in Rome 2, because they all actually matter. You can give them lots, you can assign them as different posts, you can set them as retainers for other characters to improve. So you could give your faction heir a couple of retainers to improve his stats and things like that, improve his abilities. So we're going to round things off now with the Eastern Roman Empire.
The late Emperor Theodosius decreed that Rome be divided, entrusting you with the bountiful East. Now the Empire is in danger. The Hunnic hordes are approaching from the northeast, driving even the hardiest of barbarian tribes to flee before them. The Visigoths and their ilk migrate across your lands. They cannot be allowed to harm your people. Be mindful, too, of your southeastern territories. The Sassanid Empire is strong and will challenge you for dominion of the East. The West is guarded by the Western Romans, but they, too, are overstretched and under threat of barbarian invasion. It may be prudent to unite Rome under your banner and restore the Empire to her former glory.
Uniting the Empire, eh? Sounds like a challenge for the Eastern Roman Empire. So there we go, there's the introduction for the final faction that we're having a look at in this faction overview, the Eastern Roman Empire. So let's have a look at diplomacy for them. He's looking happy, isn't he? Bless him. So we can see the empire that we hold, all of our lands. It's huge. Huge land. And obviously, the Western Roman Empire carves up the other half of the map. But as we're going to see, or rather as you will see in Attila, if you play as either the Western or Eastern Roman Empire, you're going to be facing enemies from all sides. And you may well see your empire crumble into nothing if you're not careful. So, we start off at war with the Huns. Hey, hey. Visigoths, Ostrogoths, and Alans. So we're surrounded by enemies in the north. Over in the east, we have a couple of factions that are reasonably happy with us. The Sassanid Empire, not so much. And considering they have a strength ranking of 3, they're the third strongest faction in the game. Western Roman Empire being numero uno, we are number 2. The Huns themselves are actually number 4. So we're going to have to be careful of those. We're up against number 3 and 4 of the most powerful factions in the game. At least starting off, or at least if you divide them up into this strength ranking system. Apart from that, we also have a couple of puppet states. Lazica and Nobatia. Fair bit of trade. We also have military allies with the Sassanids and obviously the Western Roman Empire. But how long can they all hold on for? I've actually spent a fair bit of time playing as the Eastern Roman Empire with this preview build in my own time, and the first couple of times I didn't have so much fun because I got wrecked by the Ostrogoths and Visigoths charging on down through my lands, wrecking absolutely everything that I had. Notably because obviously I've got the Visigoths within my lands already. They took Thessalonica pretty quickly and were able then to push down through Greece and take out my lands there. It took them a while to push on Constantinople, but when they did, the hordes really put on the pressure. So it's quite, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the easiest starting location. I didn't actually see what it said at the start menu for what their initial challenge was. But you already have those northern factions There's normal northern horde factions bearing down on you from the start, which isn't so much fun. So you probably want to try and pacify the east, or at least not get a war going over there, because you're going to want most of your forces defending Constantinople itself, probably looking to retake Greece as well. Let's have a quick look at the faction itself. So obviously we can see Emperor, and we obviously have we can set a faction heir, military court, the various offices that we control, and as you can see we've got loads and loads of provinces across our vast empire. A reasonable amount of control. Power is balanced. Obviously at each stage it changes the various modifiers for you then. Dominion, current dominion 25%. Lots and lots of characters to use there. So a potentially tricky start for the Eastern Roman Empire. I'm interested to see what the Western Roman Empire is like, although I've heard that obviously that's the Total War's first legendary start pos, so their first legendary start position, so it's a really hard difficulty. And when I played as the Saxons, actually, the Western Roman Empire did crumble. Well, it didn't completely crumble, but it faced a lot of attacks from pretty much everyone. Nobody really liked them, which obviously reflects the history that we're looking at. They most certainly crumbled, but it was the Eastern Roman Empire that survived far longer. So obviously you're tasked with that challenge. Got our little extra buildings we can see here. Obviously all upgradable, and again you can see what you need to build, or what buildings you might want to build through the building browser, which makes a welcome return there. Also we've got garrison details, so you can see what garrison units you're going to get. You can switch between bastion defences and your navy garrison details as well. So all pretty good stuff. Undeveloped land, so you can set that to a number of things. I like the artwork they've put into these buildings. And again, obviously as you expand your population, you'll see the expansion of your settlements on the map as you build new buildings. Again, that fiery ring showing your settlements kind of area of influence of where their garrison could strike from. And I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to show you guys for the 4 factions available. If you have any questions, then feel free to throw them down in a comment, and I'll be happy to answer as many as I can that I kind of know the answer for, that relates to the preview build. Obviously, as I said at the start of the video, is a development in progress, so things could potentially change a fair bit. I don't know how old this build is in comparison to where the game is now. Obviously, just over a month until release. I'm going to be starting a faction vote on my channel here on the 16th of January, and that'll give you a chance to vote for which Let's Plays you'd like me to do with Total War Attila when it releases on February 17th. So, I hope you've enjoyed this faction overview. I hope it's given you a glimpse into some of the challenges you might be facing with those 4 factions. As I said, if I get a chance before the game comes out to have a look at kind of an extended preview build and have a look at some of the other factions, then I'll make another video having a look at their starting locations. If not, then it may well be something that if you enjoyed this, let me know and I'll do it at release. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Take pride and join the Legion. All links are in the description. Cheers again for CA for sending the preview build over. Until next time, ciao for now.